На главном корпусе, третий, четвертый, между третьим и четвертым. А там люди есть? Да.
От Совета министров СССР. На Чернобыльской атомной электростанции произошла авария.
There has been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union and
one of the worst disasters in the history of nuclear power.
The Chernobyl nuclear disaster happened on April 26, 1986, and it was the worst nuclear disaster in history. The accident caused a considerable airborne radioactive contamination for about 9 days that fell down on parts of the USSR and Western Europe. About 49,000 people had to be evacuated from the town of Pripyat, and they would never return. There is now a 30-kilometer exclusion zone around Chernobyl, where public access is restricted. In 2015, I booked a group tour to Chernobyl for 2 days. I met a guy there that goes by the name of Sergey, and a few months later I contacted him again for another trip to Chernobyl. I wanted more time to photograph and explore on my own pace, so I arranged a private tour with him. Now it's 6 years later and we make AirTags travel, so I contacted him again and asked him if he was willing to receive an AirTag and carry it to Chernobyl and the abandoned town of Pripyat. Sure, he said, and so I sent an AirTag there. So I prepare an envelope with an AirTag inside, and this time I send it from a post office in Hanover. After it was mailed, it took a few days to make its way to Frankfurt Airport. I assumed from there it would fly to Kiev, and then suddenly it traveled to Leipzig Airport. I know Leipzig is a major cargo hub, so maybe it would fly from there. But no, again it moved overland into Poland and eventually reached the town of Lvov in Ukraine. This for sure was a long drive. So it ends up at a post office near the railway station, and then after another ping from a road between Kiev and Lvov, it finally reaches Kiev's post office. It spends a few days there, moves a bit around the downtown Kiev area and ends up again at the same post office. Another day later it moved again and Sergey got the notice that he can pick up the AirTag. This is how a typical trip looks like. Pick up people at the airport or the train station, drive to a gas station outside Kiev for picking up snacks, pass multiple checkpoints, lunch at the Chernobyl cafeteria, take a photo of the Pripyat sign, and see some sights around Pripyat. In the evening, check into your hotel and the next day visit the Duga radar antenna before driving home. During those trips, Sergey took the following pictures for us. I have a secondary mission for this AirTag. Chernobyl stalkers are people who enter the exclusion zone without official permission. On YouTube there are many videos on people doing this, and I was curious if I would pick up any activity at night when all the group tours are done. So I asked Sergey to plant the AirTag at a tourist hotspot and leave it there for a few weeks to see what it would pick up. and so the AirTag sits there. In a 2-week period, I get 107 updates from this location near the Ferris wheel, so there were plenty of iPhones nearby. As you can see, most of them are in the afternoon, which makes sense, since most group tours are here around that time. On November 28, the day starts early, with its first update at 8:48 AM local time from the Ferris wheel. About 20 minutes later, I get another update from a different location, some abandoned apartment buildings. It spends at least 12 minutes there, since I got 2 updates from here. Then another 20 minutes later, I get an update from these highly radioactive metallic claws. The last update I receive is another hour later from the Jupiter factory building. After this, I get no more updates, so it was probably left there. This structure is about 1 kilometer from the Ferris wheel, where it was left behind by Sergey. The building, however, looked familiar to me. When I travel, I always carry a GPS tracker to geotag my photos, and so I did as well during my Chernobyl trips. And yes, I have been here. It was the Jupiter factory building. I even took these photos there. The official story was they made consumer electronics, but it's widely believed they also made electronic components for the military. As you can see, the Airtag's last update is near the location where the roof collapsed. I took this photo there 6 years ago. This is the worst possible location to leave the AirTag. Not many tours go here because of the poor structural condition of the building. Also, it will be exposed to the cold weather conditions of Chernobyl in the wintertime, so the battery probably won't last very long. Sergey walked by the location he dropped off the AirTag, and guess what? It's gone. So for now, I can only assume my AirTag is laying somewhere inside the Jupiter factory building, waiting for somebody to pass by with an iPhone and send me a sign of life again. Right now I have 14 AirTags traveling around the world. The Europe Tour AirTag just arrived in Finland and is having fun in the snow. The AirTag in Antarctica is still at the post office and missed the helicopter flight to the research station somehow. Another AirTag just arrived in Uzbekistan at the post office. In Southeast Asia, one tag is in Singapore and will soon go to Japan. Another AirTag just arrived in Malaysia. A lot more stories will be coming out the coming few weeks.